microphone on mute just for the presentation, and then again we'll turn that back on and we can make it discussion based for the Q&A. So Daisy's going to go ahead and start that. Perfect. Thank you, Daisy. So welcome all. Thank you for joining me for this information session for employer contacts, specifically focusing on those whose organization headquarters are located in the Mid-Atlantic region. So you'll see the states there listed on the slide. I'm Dana McGrath, the employer relations partner on the SNHU Global Campus Career Services team, who serves as your main point of contact for collaboration. I'm joined by my colleagues Daisy Gillum, Sonia Moffett, and Stephanie Best, who are assisting me with the facilitation of the chat. So feel free to engage in the chat throughout the session. We'll also have time for that live Q&A toward the end of the presentation. For our guests, again, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat feature, provide your name, company, again, perhaps your LinkedIn URL for networking, and we appreciate you taking the time to learn more about the SNHU Talent Network and meeting with us today. I would like to start with kind of a quick temperature check about why you may be attending today. There has been a lot of talk about the US, the Great Resignation, the Great Reshuffle, which are probably big buzzwords and so on. So if you can navigate here to pollev.com/hire-SNHU, we'll drop the link in the chat as well. Or if you take your cell phone, you can text to the number 22333, just type in hire SNHU, and then choose one of the options in the survey. So this is for our talent acquisition or human resource representatives from the Mid-Atlantic based organizations in attendance today. If you could please select the category in which you may be experiencing recruitment challenges, or feel free to plug your response in the chat if there's a different factor than what's listed here. It's just helpful to gauge kind of where this group is at, and hopefully we can address these challenges in the presentation today. So I'll give everyone about a minute to log in there and submit your answers. I know it's only going to allow you to say one, so choose the one that you feel might be the most relevant, and it's just a good gauge. I see, that attracting, engaging, qualified candidates, so that's definitely a great topic we'll cover today. Excellent. All right, so we'll give that till about 10:05 if answers are still coming in. I see one other, so feel free to drop that in the chat, or again, we can always meet one-on-one after the session in the coming weeks and strategize kind of what that looks like for you too. All right. Perfect, so definitely a majority of A. All right,
And
perfect. Oh, go ahead.
There are 3 more A's in the chat as well,
you.
Dana, and 1 A and C.
Okay. So we have both the retaining and the attracting. So kind of that cycle there, and we'll touch on some important topics, talk about, let's jump to the agenda. And thank you everyone for your submissions there, again, just to kind of gauge where we're at with this group. Perfect. So for the agenda today, and hopefully, again, this overview and insights will help showcase, how SNHU, that talent network, and collaborating with our career services team could help you in overcoming some of those recruitment challenges. So I'll give a brief introduction to Southern New Hampshire University, or SNHU, and then an overview of the degree programs we offer. Then we'll dive a bit deeper into the specific student population and demographics for your prospective talent pipelines, along with an overview of how our academic year and online terms are structured. I'd also like to provide some context surrounding the SNHU Global Campus Career Services team structure with a focus on our employer relations team. Then we'll jump into specifics regarding insights for virtual employer engagements and suggestions for connecting with SNHU talent. And finally, we'll wrap up with the time for Q&A. All right. So let's get started with that quick introduction to SNHU. Oh, sorry about that. So we're going to go ahead and paste the main page, and you'll see kind of the full gamut of everything that we offer at SNHU, and you can feel free to navigate the main page. But Southern New Hampshire University, our mission is to transform the lives of learners, providing the best support in higher education, expanding access to education by creating high quality, affordable, and innovative pathways to meet the unique needs of each and every learner. So that's our mission. We started as a small 2-room accounting and secretarial school in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. We had day and night classes to a total enrollment of about 45 traditional age students as well as working adults. And since then, we've grown to over 150,000 learners nationwide and across the globe, with the traditional university campus in Manchester, New Hampshire, serving around 4,000 students. And then our online presence, SNHU Global Campus, with students, again, across the US and the globe, accessing their coursework 100% online in an asynchronous format. So they can log in as their schedule allows. Our programs are accredited by the New England Commission of Higher Education, with select programs actually holding dual accreditation from program-specific accrediting bodies, which highlights the quality of the affordable and accessible education for SNHU learners to get from a private nonprofit university. We launched our first internet-based distance learning courses in 1995 and have since grown to offer more than 250 certificates, associates, bachelor's, and master's degrees 100% online. And that was recognized by the US News and World Report as the most innovative university in the North as part of their 2021 Best College rankings. We also have a strong commitment to serving US military. We offered clerical skills courses to servicemen out of Manchester Air Base in the 1940s, and now we offer military-specific support in admission, advising, financial, career services, university-wide to active military, National Guard and reservists, veterans, military spouses, and dependents. And military-affiliated learners make up about 17% of that 150,000 plus of that overall student active student body. So that's kind of a quick introduction there, and then I'll jump in. Again, we have the beautiful physical university campus that's in Manchester, New Hampshire. But my professional purview is to support the SNHU Global Campus learners, so the online learners. And today we'll be focusing on the nationwide network of talent in the Global Campus and those programs. So it is important to note there are currently some differences in which programs are offered online versus on campus and kind of different engagements there. So today we'll be focusing on that Global Campus for online learner engagement. So SNHU Global Campus degrees were portioned into kind of internally into 5 core academic verticals that house our multitude, that 250 plus degree pathways. So the way it's categorized internally, we have business, healthcare and nursing, liberal arts, social sciences, and STEM. And we'll go ahead and paste the link in the chat as well, just so you can kind of peruse all the specific programs. I'm not going to list all 250 because we don't have that kind of time today, but you're welcome to peruse that. And again, we can meet individually and talk about, targeted outreach for what programs are within each vertical. So we also offer a Master of Clinical Mental Health Counseling and a Master of Education in Curriculum and Instruction at the graduate level. So I did want to include those two. So let's dive a little bit deeper. What does the SNHU talent pipeline currently look like? So these numbers are inclusive of active learners, those who are currently pursuing their degrees with SNHU. You'll notice the majority of learners are studying in our business, social sciences, and STEM core verticals, and then the liberal arts and general education, followed by healthcare and nursing, and then finally, the learners in the counseling and education programs. Remember though, even 13% noted in liberal arts and general education, of that 150,000 plus total, that's a minimum of 19,000 learners for comparison. So overall, any level of engagement is more than 150,000 potential impressions of your company and employer brand in recruitment outreach, just kind of the impact there. And we really celebrate the ability to offer that quality education in an accessible and affordable way to an array of learners. And, this is essential for those who may not have the privilege or desire to attend a physical traditional campus. They could prefer to have the flexibility of asynchronous learning, or could be balancing family, a full-time or part-time job, or military service, and then adding schoolwork on top of that. So you can see here as well, in regard to active learners by age band, the majority of SNHU students, they're not that typical, right out of high school age bracket. While we do serve students in that traditional group, we also serve those who may have had or chose to start somewhere else first. They already possess some work or life experience and now are seeking to further their education for professional or personal reasons. And for my time in admission, which is where I started here at SNHU, I spoke with students every day whose stories, that why behind that decision to call SNHU, they were inspiring. or honestly, they could be heartbreaking. I mean, just the full gamut of experience. So every single student is different, and we seek to understand and promote that. So we're so fortunate to be able to support their dreams, and that's why I love, the work that I do now to meet with you all, help lead those educational dreams forward to the next step toward a gainful professional career with employers who will appreciate SNHU talent as employees like we appreciate them for their time during SNHU. So just the fact that you're taking the time to listen to me this morning and learn about the SNHU Talent Work Network, it shows me that you're passionate about SNHU talent, and I love to see that. I also found it relevant to point out today that we actually don't follow the typical fall spring semester structure. So our online programs, they are asynchronous in that students can work on their actual coursework, at any time. But we do follow a structure. We have specific deadlines where they have to submit their assignments online each week. And undergraduate students, they follow a structure of 6 8-week terms throughout the year. And this allows students to complete their degrees not only with flexibility, but also with brevity, depending on their desired course load. I pulled some numbers here just to show you the sheer volume of talent graduating on an ongoing basis with our term structure, along with the total number out of the online overall population of that 150,000 that currently live within the Mid-Atlantic region states. So, if you have opportunities in that region, if not, I'm happy to connect with anyone individually to kind of strategize those recruitment strategies with you, especially if you're seeking talent for remote opportunities where they can live, outside of these parameters, or if you have assigned regions that you recruit for due to nationwide opportunities with your company or organization, even though your corporate headquarters happens to be in my regional purview, if that makes sense. This slide, it's just the structure for our graduate or master's level learners who follow 5 10-week terms. So it's a little bit different than the undergraduate. Again, we review that expansive talent network with degrees recently completed or soon to be completed, and then that overall graduate population. And these numbers and the undergraduate numbers actually include what we call kind of the cohort. So that's all students from that first term of registration, all active learners. So the first term of their registration to 6 months post-graduation, right? And reflecting on that SNHU Talent Network, it's also important to kind of highlight how we support their career goals. So again, I'm going to do a little temperature check. I'll start with this quick survey. I'll give another brief minute. If you can go to that pollev.com/hire SNHU and complete the following. And these competencies are from NACE, or the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So I'm asking here for you to choose the top 3 core competencies that you look for in potential candidates. In other words, when reviewing resumes or recruiting talent, what are the top 3 categories here that you seek or that your company seeks in hiring? It may be tough to choose only 3 or not, because I love how the numbers are moving, but there are no wrong answers. So definitely just speak for your experience or kind of what your company culture is like. So again, we'll give a brief minute until about 10:16. So communication is big, professionalism, absolutely. Perfect. Critical thinking, for sure. Career and self-development, I love to see that as well. Excellent. All right, so it looks up, we have a couple more coming in. Perfect. Yep. So Daisy kind of summarized that. The 3 top here, or 4 top, it looks like, that communication, professionalism, career and self-development, and critical thinking are those top. Perfect. Super, super helpful. All right. And thank you again for those responses. I really wanted to gauge that from you all because we seek to support our learners in gaining these career readiness skills, and we work with them throughout their programs and beyond. So these competencies, they can be addressed by SNHU Career Services through several levels of our team. First, our career engagement partners. That's the bridge between our academic team, our faculty, and the career-focused initiatives built into SNHU curriculum. Second, we have our internship and fieldwork administrators. We don't require internships for the majority of our online programs, but there are still many students who want to gain that experience because they realize the importance of it. So SNHU internship administrators ensure that students are accessing meaningful internships that meet our requirements for credit if it aligns in their elective space, or they're provided the support needed for securing non-credit experiences that are both equitable and valuable. And then our fieldwork administrator team, similarly, they support our clinical mental health counseling graduate learners in securing sites for their required practicum and internship hours, which are quite robust. And then third, we have career advisors. And career advisors are split into 2 assignment categories, speaking with students day in and day out for resume reviews, mock interview practice, job search guidance, and more. So cohort career advisors, they directly support a caseload of learners who are 12 months away from graduation to 6 months post-graduation. Non-cohort career advisors support all students outside of those parameters, inclusive of alumni who may reach out seeking assistance. As SNHU Career Services, it's an included lifetime benefit. So they can call in, 20 years after they graduate, 30 years, like anytime. And that's a free benefit included from their experience at SNHU. And finally, our employer relations team, where we connect with all of you lovely people in human resources and talent acquisition. And that's at the industry level, so we can build those connections and partnerships that allow you to access the SNHU talent network in meaningful and impactful ways, to fill your requisitions and also provide guidance for SNHU learners to kind of enter the recruitment process as educated, professional, and prepared candidates. So the employer relations team, we're assigned in regions based upon corporate headquarters. So that being said, we can support your hiring needs nationwide, but your main point of contact on the map here is where your corporate offices are headquartered. So for example, I have an employer, she works out of Missouri, but her company headquarters is in New York. But then she has the ability to hire fully remote across the United States. So I'm her main point of contact solely based on the fact that her company is headquartered in New York, that corporate headquarters. So I can support her initiatives across our entire talent network just based on that corporate headquarters. We also have Jim. He's on our team. He supports our recruiting efforts for connecting with our military affiliated learners and also represents employer relations on the diversity, equity, and inclusion task force. So Jim is super helpful with those initiatives, very dedicated to our diverse population as we all are. So employer relations, it's the bridge between that professional employer contact and the internal teams at SNHU. We want to assist in connecting with SNHU online students and alumni. The baseline, the bottom line of employer engagement is connecting with SNHU on Handshake and actively sharing your jobs and internships. If you're not already connected with SNHU and Handshake, I highly encourage you to do so. If you're not very familiar with Handshake, I actually can recommend, connecting with me one-on-one. We can walk through it, certainly happy to do that. Or there's also an entire suite of employer onboarding videos that Handshake has made available on YouTube for a visual walkthrough of its key capabilities. And we'll go ahead and share the YouTube video link in the chat. So feel free to bookmark that and access it at any time. Handshake is the core platform career services can use to become aware of and communicate available opportunities directly to career-seeking SNHU talent. So learners understand that Handshake is where they can find vetted, reviewed jobs and internships that are aligned to our program offerings and our positions for those who are working toward their college degree or prefer or require that a candidate has completed a minimum of an associate's degree. So just some insights on posting job descriptions. You can have students route to your ATS or whatever system you use, just say apply by an external link. And thorough, detailed position descriptions that include the duties, responsibilities, qualifications, perhaps an overview of the culture or mission of the company. Those are more likely to align with the filters or keywords that students may be using in their search. So, definitely take the time to either paste that entire job description over, or, if you're posting directly in Handshake, make sure they're detailed enough so students are matching that with their keyword searches and you're coming up at the top of those searches. The next level of engagement is virtual events. Employers, whether you have a free or core Handshake account or a paid or premium Handshake account, you can host your own virtual events directly and invite select schools to participate, and that's free. So we do have to approve the permission on this end for you to post your events to SNHU Talent. It's not a default. So if you're already hosting your own career-focused information or hiring sessions, on a platform like Zoom, Teams, etc. Or if you're interested in doing so, let's talk after the session. We can chat about those ideas, see if it makes sense to promote to SNHU talent, and then I can approve that permission for your employer account on this end in Handshake. The SNHU employer relations team also coordinates and collaborates with a variety of virtual engagements throughout the year. So if we see you're actively engaged in posting jobs and positions, if you reach out about like a large hiring goal for your university talent and want to showcase your organization or grow your employer brand at SNHU, or perhaps your industry or experience aligns with educational curriculum programming that students, faculty, or staff are looking to highlight, then you'll be one of our first point of contacts to reach out for potential interest in participating in these SNHU hosted events. So let's dive a little bit deeper into those employer engagements. So David Baresh, he's the SNHU Global Campus team member behind the scenes, making the magic happen for us in Handshake. These numbers were pulled directly from our SNHU Handshake account for April 2021 through April 2022. So as you can see, that baseline is posting available jobs and internships aligned with our degree programs. So thousands of employers are connected with SNHU because it's the baseline. They're submitting tens of thousands of positions, and that results in an enormous amount of applications in 1 year. If you look at the other side of the slide, we also host a large amount of virtual events, either by promoting employer-hosted events or SNHU team-hosted events through Handshake and through our own internal communication channels. But in comparison, posting the position is an essential, but then hosting a virtual event, that could be a great way to stand out from these masses while also receiving free guidance and outreach support from SNHU employer relations to kind of assist in building event attendance. All right. And with all that being said about the virtual events, our ongoing term structure, support we seek to provide to students, I hope you understand the passion behind our work and our eternal drive toward delivering those quality initiatives, perhaps even over the quantity. So our virtual events, they follow a framework that delivers a relational aspect over that transactional aspect. So we want to work with you on events that speak to our student population, allowing you to make meaningful connections and through support from our team to reach out to those individually celebrated talents who will bring tremendous value to your workforce. I mean, from admission, talking to those students, I can't even tell you, they're just amazing people. So one example for Vanguard, I coordinated an event with contacts from Vanguard in February. The Spotlight event, we called it, was for their customer relationship associate roles, where they're hiring, they have a large hiring goal due to growth. The recruiters came in, they were super excited, engaged. They truly personified that company culture. They were informative and they provided their emails at the end of the session. So quite a few students reached out. They were referred, and at least 2 students that I was told about, because not everybody comes in and reports back to us, if they've been hired. But they were so excited that they were hired for summer 22 hiring groups that they reached out to their career advisors to let them know. And those are lives transformed. This is what we love to hear. Another example, I had an alternative accounting careers panel I facilitated in March. One panelist was employed at Capital One. He was engaging and funny, shared his LinkedIn URL, encouraged students to outreach for any additional questions. A learner did reach out. They scheduled a call to connect and network and talk about her future in accounting. So that's a success story. This is what we mean. We want to develop these explorational opportunities so that our students can become your loyal employees. They know about the company, they know about the process, they can be treated with respect and have room for growth. And these are real people. These are real relationships happening. We're all for it. And it's important to note we don't place these students with jobs or internships, but we try to create those opportunities aligned with our academic verticals throughout the year to offer to students and alumni for learning, connecting, exploring, and just understanding what they need to do in order to be successful employees prepared for the professional world. And this is just a sampling of employers we collaborated with in 2021-2022 academic year alone. So quite the array. We'd love to add you to that beautiful graphic. And then just to give you some insight on the planning side. So SNHU employer collaborations are either student and alumni facing or staff and faculty facing. Sometimes they can also be both. But in order to plan accordingly with our internal teams from concept to completion, promoting effectively to distributed students, across the US through our communication channels, we require just some parameters when coordinating these sessions. So definitely keep that in mind for the advanced timeline for that proper promotion. And I can schedule time with you or your teams individually to focus on what makes the most sense for your opportunities. And we can strategize the outreach and promotion together. And I encourage you too, if you're already hosting your own events, let me know and I can approve the permission for you to share those relevant events to SNHU in Handshake. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, although we definitely want to collaborate and have, SNHU specific events too. So this is my homework for you. We're in higher education. I can't host an information session without some homework. So these are 5 core questions I want you to go back to your teams or if you're, one person show, just kind of think about this. So what makes your company or organization unique? What do you do best? How could that become a session or topic for a virtual event or engagement? Which messages do you want to convey to potential SNHU candidates? Who do
Dana,
you want to connect with? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Dana. I don't think the slide changed over.
I'm sorry. Thank
You're
you,
okay.
Daisy. There's your homework, everybody. All right. Which messages do we want to convey to SNHU potential candidates? Who do you want to connect with? Which programs, learners, and teams? And when can you start expanding your university recruitment strategy with SNHU? So I'll let you answer that one. And I'll go ahead and share these slides afterward too. So, you'll have some notes for your homework. All right. So I'll make sure I change the slide this time. Thank you, Daisy. And reach out, let us know what your ideas are. What are your challenges? How can we help each other in making these connections? So if you're not headquartered in the Mid-Atlantic states that I listed previously, I'm happy to connect you with the appropriate ER contact or employer relations contact, or you can navigate to our employer relations website from that QR code. And I also encourage you to begin, or continue posting relevant roles to SNHU in Handshake and reach out directly, or if you would like assistance in showcasing your organization or opportunities, to SNHU talent. Also, if you have opportunities within the New England area specifically, then I'm also happy to share your contact information with our university campus career development team as well. So thank you, Daisy, for sharing our emails in the chat there. I also want to share this survey link, put it here in the chat, and I'll email the link out to everyone by end of day. It's just a quick 5-question survey just to kind of get some insights on your feedback from the session today, and for us to schedule time one-on-one to connect on and really diving deeper into demographics that you're looking to build upon and things like that. So I'm happy to connect, fill out that form, and then we'll go ahead and jump to the Q&A. So again, thank you everyone for joining this morning, and let's get that started. Feel free to unmute your microphone, turn on your camera. Again, we have career members, career services advisors, in attendance as well. So I'd love to make this kind of discussion-based Q&A forum. You can also use your raised hand feature in Handshake. If you go to the reactions, there's kind of a raise hand feature, and I can call on you if that's easier, or feel free to just type your question in the chat and we can address it live too. So I'll go ahead and end the screen share here. All right. So yeah, feel free to jump right in. And anyone have any questions you want to get started with?
Sure, I'll kick it off, and maybe more to solve my curiosity. But as you guys are, talking to students and that type of stuff, we seem to be coming across, more and more of a desire for that work from home type mentality versus coming into a physical office space, and that in our business historically has really relied on the team interaction, face to face, bumping into people in the hallways. What are you seeing out there? I mean, obviously you've got kind of a nationwide / global view of all of that. I'm curious as to what you're experiencing or what others might be experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely a trend that has come up, with remote work, especially when they're completing their degree programs 100% online and it becoming more prevalent. So as far as those kind of conversations, I mean, that's not to speak for every single 150,000 person, right? So there are people that still like to go into the office. There are still people that enjoy that camaraderie. So I mean, from the high level overview, I don't I don't think we have any kind of numbers per se, but I think if any of the career advisors want to jump in, give some kind of examples of conversations they've had that might reflect. I know Jeffrey works in kind of financial services, so if any business learners have expressed certain perspectives too. Oh, thank you, Denise. So remote has been the most popular keyword search and Handshake for the past year. So that is definitely on par with, a majority, but again, not speaking for everybody because, every student's different. But any career advisors want to give some insights? Stephanie, I see you jumping in.
I can. I mean, I work with all the verticals, so I don't have like a business specific perspective, but yes, we're hearing that learners, have been working, especially if they've been working successfully remotely, are very hesitant to go back into an office in general. As Dana mentioned, they've done their education online. If they feel they've been successful working remotely, I would say they're typically less likely to be looking for the office environment. And I think that in general, not just our learners, but we're seeing this in industries everywhere across the globe. People are looking for that work-life balance, right? And so it's I'm hearing learners talking more about that, how can they have the work-life balance? What are those other benefits, wellness and other benefits that they can have even aside from compensation? So they're looking at those lifestyle components when they're making their decision, if that's helpful.
Oh, it is, and that's similar experience here. It's more than just a fat paycheck, to use slang, if you will. So I would say our experience is very much the same. So I mean it's interesting that it doesn't seem to necessarily be this stereotyped to a specific generation, Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, millennials, or that type of stuff. It really seems to be crossing boundaries, or again, maybe that's my microscopic observation. So again, having a global view, I'd be curious what other experiences are.
I recruit for sales positions for Hearst, particularly in marketing and advertising sales, and we are across the board seeing the same things. Some people are okay with a hybrid format, 2 days in the office a week. But most people are responding saying, I want fully remote, I want the ability to move, or I plan on moving, or I'm not located close enough. And so that's been definitely a big hurdle over the last year.
Seeing a lot of head nods, so it seems to be kind of a universal issue.
I think the why the person needs, the employee needs to be in the office needs to be conveyed. If they can understand the breadth of the why they need to be in the office, sometimes that can offset that I want to be remote so I don't have to go into the office type of thing. I work with social sciences individuals, and so it's a lot of psychology, criminal justice, anthropology. So they have a broad perspective of career opportunities. So many are looking for remote, but I always caution them that this is a changing environment, that, we are remote now, most are remote, but that may change. So that a company expressing the reason why it's important to come into the office, not so that they can keep an eye on you and to keep you under the thumb, which is the reason why most people didn't go remote prior to COVID, could be an important factor.
Honestly, I see it as an economic data point too. If you don't have to spend money on gas, coffee, wear and tear on your brakes, tires, frustration of parking, why not be productive earlier if you're ready to be productive earlier in the day? Why not be efficient with your time instead of having some meaningful meetings, fewer meaningful meetings? I find most people feel like they can hit the ground running when it creates less tension in their personal and work lives. I think the only exception to that I've seen in my business students are on the There's a push that everybody wants to gain resume valued skills that have market value. So if you're going to develop me, that's usually a top priority that all my business students that I work with want. I want to be developed. I want to be mentored. If there's a better way to get mentored through a team meeting this once a week, they're more than willing to invest that time and come into an office if they can ramp up and gain a new skill. So it's kind of like, is it worth my time? Is it worth my effort to come into the office? If somebody who can enrich my skills and I can take on more responsibility or clarify something that's easier learned in person versus remotely, that's a data point. But I think what I'm seeing consistently is develop me, mentor me, and let me soar. But if I need to come into the office to gain additional skills, no problem. I will make it work. I will juggle everything at home to make it work.
I will
Jeffrey,
add,
oh,
just want I have spoken with students who are willing to go into the office, but are stuck because of either unreliable childcare or unreliable school attendance. So that's been another major motivator I'm seeing, especially for some of our, I mean, I have definitely spoken to dads who feel the same, but definitely for our female students, our mothers, that's been a huge issue.
Jeffrey, I was going to say is a really fascinating topic that I think is of interest to probably everyone on here. And I ironically had a conversation with a counterpart, in a sense, a recruiter this morning before this session. And she just left a position in an employer she had been with, an employer that she had been with for 10 years, because the corporate policy was everybody has to come back, and she had to drive an hour each way. And she said it just, it was just, after having experienced working at home and being productive and not having to put all that time in, I just couldn't go back to that. So she took a fully remote position with another company. So that's just one anecdote. The other is our university, Southern New Hampshire University, used to have a small remote team. I happen to be, well, not team, but a small contingent of workers that were remote. Then, of course, COVID forced us all, and so many people who didn't think that they would like working remotely found that they actually loved it. And again, for me, I've worked remotely for the last 9 years. The productivity is just so much greater when I can just get up and come in and get to work, and there are no distractions. And so our university has really embraced hybrid. So while not everybody's working fully remote, there is a move to hybrid. And I've seen employers who will start people in the office and move them to hybrid and have the potential of going fully remote later on. But it has always been tremendously popular with our learners who are, of course, studying remotely.
Our work has definitely experienced some similar things. Mark, you even mentioned that she had left for a remote opportunity. We've had cross-property opportunities for that to happen, and at times we've even had some properties get mad, hey, you're stealing the employee. Well, at least we're keeping them within the company. The employee needed a remote opportunity. The other option was for us to completely lose that talent to a different company. So transferring them from one division to another that offers a remote opportunity seemed like the better solution rather than losing talent.
Excellent insights, and certainly, a hot topic. And I know just from some numbers that our handshake administrator David just shared with me, not numbers, but just some statistics here. So remote jobs attracted more qualified candidates in Handshake. On average, remote positions generate nearly double the qualified applicants than non-remote positions generate. So just some insights there. But I know we had Addison, I believe, in the chat mentioned, especially hospitality, healthcare. I know Mary has her hand up for the questions here. So Mary, if you want to go ahead and ask your question too, just to kind of continue this great conversation.
Before you move on, Dana, the points you just made, those data points, are those within the documents that you're going to send out? I would love to have those on hand to share with my higher ups.
I can include it in the email that I'll send out at the end of the day today.
wonderful, because those are
Got it.
very relevant statistics from some of the recruiting
Absolutely.
conversations we have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Destiny. All right, excellent. So Mary, if you want to go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a related topic. I work for a level 1 trauma center hospital. We don't have remote positions available at all. So is there a way to target your student population for students or graduates who want to work in an office as opposed to work remotely?
Yeah, I think as far as that, just really thinking about, what could speak to the population. I mean, what are you offering, especially like Stephanie mentioned, everything in addition to, the paycheck. What does that total rewards package look like? And then, we can coordinate. We have the healthcare and nursing vertical. It's not one of the, top 3, but it has quite a lot of students that are still, they have those skills. They love helping people. So I think that we can certainly meet, kind of talk about those specific challenges and kind of what you're looking at, and kind of strategize what that could look like to
Yeah, because
target
we have a
targeted event.
really great benefits package, but it's hard to get, especially the 20 somethings out there, to really buy into that. They're not looking for a pension program. They're
Right.
looking for a bigger paycheck. And maybe that means I should go back to the benefits team and see if we can restructure that, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's a very, I work for a very big hospital. It's a big animal and it moves slowly.
Right. Understandable.
But
For sure.
we also are looking for social sciences grads, like mental health counselors and social workers. And so a couple of different verticals on your end would be of great interest to us.
Perfect.
So yeah, I look forward to chatting going forward.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thanks.
And thank you, Mary, because those insights, I know we recently, Mark hosted a information session with the Illinois Department of Health and Human Services, I believe, Mark. So that was very targeted toward, students that want to work in that governmental department, and being able to, bring that in just to give them a perspective of what it's like to work there too, because it could just be awareness of what opportunities are out there too.
And I'll just add, Mary, that those are typically the industries where we know remote is not, going to be as, plentiful, right? And so we are managing that expectation with learners as well.
Okay, good.
But things like, like you mentioned, a 20-something-year-old might not be interested in a retirement plan, but they are looking for mentorship. They're looking for feeling like they aren't just thrown into a situation to sink or swim. So if you can talk up your training and those types of leadership structures that you have, those would also be really good points. I think that would be helpful.
So it sounds like, from a position, selling our opportunities, some of the key buzzwords, and I know I'm probably using taboo language these days, but training, mentorship, work-life balance, those are, I guess maybe the top 3. Is there, and I think you said you're going to include some of those in your follow-up communications, but am I maybe oversimplifying, but following the track that we're on here?
I would agree, kind of anything that can match what they're looking for those keyword searches, anything that's going to bring you to the top of the list, especially if it's, posting positions and Handshake for kind of what's clear.
I mean, are those the right words though? Strong mentorship program, great training.
Hey, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, my name's Ryan. I've been part of the career team about 8 years. I work with active student population. I'm on the same team as Stephanie. And you see a lot of interesting insights about students when they're still active in their studies, right? And those are plenty of those buzzwords are very commonplace these days. I guess someone's unmuted there, but anyways, sorry about that. I think students are looking for that because, you know, I grew up in the restaurant industry. I worked in as a dishwasher. I worked in retail, so I did the grinding jobs, and a lot of students are trying to get out of that type of environment now, right? They want to get into an environment where they can balance their work-life balance. They're not doing a ton of hours. They're not working weird hours, right? So a lot of them want to have a steady 9 to 5 is kind of the common thing I've noticed. I'm sure Stephanie and Aislinn on my team can agree to that too. But like, it's definitely a trend these days. You know what I mean? And see it more often. You know, and I've been career advisor almost 10 years. You start seeing those trends keep on creeping in, if that helps at all. So.
You know, and success seems to go to the people that are willing to take the risk. Is that a theme that's starting to subside? And I mean, again, I'm now the old man in the room these days, and that's, you know, that's the philosophy that I grew up on. You know, you work hard, you put in the extra effort, you take the risk, and the rewards are there. Maybe not tomorrow, but 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road. And again, I fully recognize I'm the dinosaur, but is that a theme that isn't as common anymore, or are people still looking for those truly building a career, those entrepreneurial opportunities, and that type of stuff? And I apologize that I'm monopolizing the conversation, so somebody cut me off at any time.
I think it's still the same with, like, you know, work hard, pay hard, but with some leniency. Like, you know, as like, let's say, like my parents wouldn't understand how working from home, like, how can you work from home? But I'm in the industry, so I work for Hajoka corporation. We are plumbing. So it's really hard talking to the people, and they're my age. And I'm like, honestly, we can't, no, you can't do this on a computer. But like, we're trying to figure out how we can help them, I think. But the one thing that I think works best for us is that entrepreneurial that you mentioned. Because for us, I work for Hajoka doing a management development program. So what we do, we pretty much train them to become entrepreneurs too. And we have over 400 locations. So it's 3 years long. So if they can, so that's when I think the work hard part come in, because you can't just come in and become one of our managers. So it is a long process, but at the end, they get that freedom to lead the way they want to. So I think that has been the one thing that helping with the working, telling them they can't work from home. Because if you don't make this connection with the customers face to face, I know, and I am in it. I love working from home, but I also understand that you can't do everything from home. And I find that I have to explain that to a lot of the students that I meet with, is that customer experience in some industry, whether you like it or not, you have to be face to face. And I also think it's tied up into the benefit package. So we have something called profit sharing, where they get to do that. But you can't do that because you have to build that connection with that customer so they can come back. So then at the end, then you get a profit. So I think with our students now, and telling them, oh, my friends work from home, but I'm like, at the end, what you're gonna get, it's essentially what you work for. Because the more customer, the more interaction you make, and the more they're gonna come back. So I think it's definitely hard now to try to explain it to people my age, sorry. And I didn't think I would have to explain that to other people. But I do think the work hard, you work hard, and I think it's still there. But I think with technology, it's really flipping, and we somehow have to keep up. And being a plumbing industry is really hard right now to sell it, because people are just, I mean, I've been to so many career fairs. The first question they ask, do you have a hybrid, or do you work from home? I was like, no, you have to be in the warehouse. I'm sorry. You actually, but it's also that benefit is really, I don't know how your companies are, but I think I'm working with my bosses to make it. So we're working to raise the money to do things, offer lunches and things like that, to kind of keep them, make them excited to come in. So I don't know, hopefully.
Who doesn't like free food?
Yeah.
They say the best way to
appreciate that.
heart
Thank you.
is stomach.
Oh yeah, sure. Definitely mine.
Excellent. I love
Can I
this. Oh,
step in for a minute?
sure, Donnie, go ahead.
I'll give my 2 cents to you, Jeffrey, since I, within the last 3 years, shifted from hospitality management into HR. And I really, truly believe at the end of the day, uh, people are looking to work for a good company. And that's what they really want. And, you know, whatever that looks like, obviously in the hospitality industry, you can't do remote. But if you could do remote and you're iffy about it, give them a chance and give them a clear expectation of what their job duties and responsibilities are. And if that can be met remote, then great. But you also have that check-in with them and you circle back around if things aren't being met and you redirect. So I think it's a one, you one off it. If people want to work remote, okay, that's fine. Show me what that would look like. Have them bring the plan to you and show you how they're going to do it and involve them in the process. And then they'll take a lot more ownership of it because they feel like they created something on their own and they're happy about it. So, I mean, that's kind of my 2 cents. I left my last job. I've only been with Jay Conley, who is a PR firm. I worked at a factory, and the culture was horrible. And this new company is all about let's take care of the people inside these four walls first, and it'll lead to success. So, that's one of the things that attracted me from the beginning. So, I hope that helps you.
Excellent. It is. It's kind of that, we take a survey, feels like every month, but it's kind of, if you were offered the same position at another company, what is the likelihood you would leave SNHU? So it's just something to understand, even if it's the same position, I'm integrated into SNHU, I want to be here until I retire. So it's really about how they care. And again, I can't speak for everyone because that's my personal experience, but I do think that weighs pretty heavily on someone's loyalty to staying, retaining that talent is that, they're treated very well. They feel that that commitment to the employer rather than, jumping around because something better came along. So that relational aspect more than, here's my resume, here's a job. 3 months later, what did I get myself into? So I think that's why we want to approach it rather than having, a career fair just, with masses of employers. We're having these focused events to be able to give you that opportunity to connect with, it might be not hundreds of students, but you're making real connections rather than, the quality. The quality over the quantity, I guess, is kind of what that framework that I mentioned. That's what we're trying to build because, our students are so important to us. It's our student success that really drives our mission. And I know, Joanne, you've had your hand up. We only have 5 minutes, so I definitely want to get to you too. So feel free to jump on in with your question.
Oh, great. Actually, it wasn't a question as much as it was a follow-up on the current conversation. I work in the restaurant industry. And as you all might imagine, it's really tough because it is customer facing. It's 100% customer facing. So in some of my markets, we've got more than 100% staffing, which is incredible, unheard of in the restaurant industry. Meaning I've got more managers than I can actually put into restaurants, and I have more servers and cooks than I can actually put into restaurants. Part of the reason that happened was because of our focus. We're focusing strictly on recruitment of restaurant professionals, so people who understand the industry. We don't have to talk them into understanding what the shifts are like and what the business is about. And for external candidates, it's about enticing them with things like mentorship, as you mentioned, Dana. It's enticing them with things like providing a one-to-one guidance, meeting with the senior management team, having access to executives, something that happens so seldom with interns, that is a huge deal for them at 20 or 21 years old, having an executive speak to them, and that executive's responsible for $300 or $400 or $500 million worth of business. That's a big deal. So it's also about positioning opportunities in a way that makes sense for those folks that you're recruiting. For us, one of the challenges is because I do live in a small rural area, I don't have the advantage that some of you all might have. I know that other folks are probably in a similar situation of being in a market where I've got 2 or 3 or 4 million people where I can find those 50 or 60 online students to come work for us in person. So for anybody who might have ideas, I am open and eager to hear those suggestions.
Where do you recruit to get those people? Do you host events or?
Yeah, we actually do all types of events. We've got in-person events. We host virtual recruiting events. We actually do some door-to-door recruiting. We actually compete directly in our competitors' front doors because, I work for Waffle House. Everyone loves Waffle House. I see the smiles right now. And, when we talk to people about, working for a multi-billion-dollar company that is a corporately owned company, not franchised, it becomes a different conversation because those are entrepreneurs who understand the value of working for a company that's been in the black for decades and continues to be so. And so for us, it's a variety of recruitment methods. I also do some online recruiting. So we use every method available: social media, in person, cold calling, because every one of those channels works for us. All of it works.
And if you're hosting those online sessions already, Joanne, you and I can connect and kind of talk about that targeted aspect. And, we can take a look at kind of the demographics in that specific area too. And, kind of understand if maybe we allow that permission for you to post those events to SNHU and Handshake, because what we do is we invite students directly on our end to help with growing that attendance from our talent network too, if they're career seeking, especially in those areas. So, that can be a way that we can just help you promote events you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Joanne, if I might just quickly, I live in a rural area and I work in the city. I have had a lot of success reaching out to the other rural, people. If you live in a rural area, you know that there's not a lot of opportunity. So you have to drive to get work. So, but going through like chambers of commerce, networking in that way has been helpful. So that maybe is a way for you to get some additional recruits in your door.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my smallest towns has about 8,900 people who live in it. So that gives you an idea for the challenges that we face here in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Southwest Virginia.
My hometown, I believe, is about 6,500 people.
Yeah, so you're feeling it.
I'm feeling it. I feel you.
And I know Rich mentioned earlier, he's one of our career advisors, that we have a kind of a fictional town called Bumblebee, Iowa, that a lot of students, we might have students in that area because they can't commute to a physical campus, and they just, they might even be adjusting the satellite to get some internet, but it's, they're dedicated to getting their degree completed. And, we can help you target, anyone, just again, awareness. It's just that they might not be aware. So that's why we're here. That's why our team is here. Our engagements are, no cost, which is huge. You're not adjusting that bottom line at all, because we're here to support you to in turn support our students. So I know we're at time. I'd love to, keep this amazing conversation going. I hope to have these, maybe focused topics in the future and really build. But this was just an overview to kind of give you all some insights about the talent network that we have and everything that we're here to support your goals. So, we can all reach that common goal of, gainful employment for our learners. So thank you again for joining us. And feel free, I'm going to be emailing out the PowerPoint as a PDF, so you'll have the links, and I'll connect with David on some of those, keywords that are kind of the top few keywords if I can, and then some of the things that he mentioned about the remote opportunities too. All right, so I will chat with you all soon. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, great weekend, and looking forward to collaborating soon. Have a great one.
Thank you all for being here.